Being involved in a car accident is one of the most traumatic things you can experience going through not only the ordeal itself, but everything else afterwards, the consequences, the financial implications. Who's going to pay? In 2020, I was involved in quite a nasty smash up when I was driving home from the airport on the M26. It happened. Have a look at this.
No.
Right back. In Westminster.
Oh, right.
It's got to be in the European Parliament. I'm looking at the timetable.
There's 6 amendments.
And I think, because Guy Verhofstadt before Christmas said we won't vote against. Now, look, in reality, I think
the car that went into that Volvo parked in the hard shoulder towards the end of the footage, the car where the camera was my car, and I was the driver. Because of the actions of the swerving vehicle in front, I had nowhere to go, very little time to react, and there wasn't a great deal I could do about it. Still send shivers down my spine now watching the footage, but there was literally a small window of time and a small gap to try and thread a minibus through, and right at the last minute, that car, which you wouldn't have seen because it was out of view, slammed into the side of my minibus just as I thought I was going to get away with it, and sent me into that Volvo at about 50 miles an hour. I couldn't bleed any more speed off than that, even though I could see what was about to take place. The aftermath of it was about January 2020, and we know what happened at the beginning of 2020. So the whole dealing with it and the aftermath got massively delayed because of world events. But eventually, of course, we got there. Now, because of the insurance cover, I was put in a position where I could carry on and work, and I was provided treatment for a shoulder injury that I sustained, an injury to my arm, and just the shock of the situation. It still comes back every now and again, particularly when I view the footage I just showed you. But in the main, it's okay. But everything was there. Now, the problem is, what if a driver that you end up in an altercation with isn't insured, and you find out later? What that should do is put a scupper on it. The whole thing should be full of problems from that point on, because there's no insurance coverage for the other driver. In fact, there's an old newspaper article which I want to show you now. Here you go. Road rage. Millions of Brits face higher car premiums because of an EU law forcing firms to compensate uninsured drivers if they're hit by another uninsured driver. Furious Transport Secretary Chris Grayling last night said he had no choice but to apply the Brussels diktat, but vowed the government will come back to this after Brexit. Well, in my case, the driver in the vehicle responsible for my accident wasn't insured, but I was, and it went through the legal process. He was punished for what happened, and I was compensated accordingly for everything that should have happened. But what they're basically saying is, if two parties in an accident are both uninsured, you can make a claim anyway against the motor insurance database. I think it is MID. And what that does, how they fund themselves, they take a premium off of all the insurance companies everywhere, and this will naturally have the effect of putting all the premiums up, all the prices. And just to show you this again, this article was actually released in 2017, so you can see how long this has been going on for. Now, there's been a slight change. As you noted, Chris Grayling, the Transport Secretary at the time, said, I'll deal with it after Brexit. Well, it's taken a while, but they've actually started to look at it. There's a URL I want to show you here, gov.uk government's consultations, removal of uninsured drivers' access to property damage compensation. So they're actually going down the motions or going down the lines of a consultation. And I happen to have that here, which could hopefully change all of this. I'll make this big screen as well so you can see it properly. So it's an open consultation published on the 17th of March, so it's 4 days ago, by the Department for Transport. Proposes denying property damage compensation for uninsured road vehicle drivers involved in accidents with other uninsured or untraced drivers. And the consultation runs until the 12th of May. Consultation description: we're proposing the reintroduction of an exclusion previously removed because of incompatibility with European Union law, so that uninsured drivers are no longer able to claim compensation for property damage from the Motor Insurance Bureau. Currently, uninsured drivers are able to claim this compensation if involved in an accident with another uninsured driver or an untraced driver. The MIB is responsible for compensating drivers involved in an accident with an uninsured or untraced driver. The MIB covers its costs by means of a levy on all motor insurance companies, which might in turn pass this particular cost onto law-abiding, premium-paying motorists who do insure their vehicles. Now the UK is outside the EU, that's debatable. We are no longer required to be subject to EU law and can proceed to make this change. So they've opened this consultation on it. There's a form there, ways to respond. You can respond online, complete a response form, or email, or you can even write to. All the information's on there. So there you go, folks. If you are a motorist and this is, a thing that matters to you, and you think, well, if you're going to drive around uninsured, you shouldn't be financially rewarded for smashing up your car and potentially taking out somebody else with you. It's not on. It's a fallacy, and it needs to change. And obviously, that cost pushback to the insurers, where we're all paying more as well. The idea is perhaps it could help me personally. These profit-driven companies, knowing them as I do, it's not going to help. They're not going to bring the price down, but it could correct a wrong. That's the main thing. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, share the hell out of my stuff. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. Another video should have just popped up for you. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Toodaloo.